Hi guys, welcome today to the Zing Thing, and today I am your co-host, that is Anupam, and we are here to talk about Dipinder's bike, which is the classic new generation 350. His 3,000 kilometers he has done on it, and let's see what he has to tell about it. Just listen to the beauty. This is just amazing. Awesome. This has a very different note than a classic 350 or a 500 even that I am used to. So let's go straight in.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, sir. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time out today and being on this show with us.
And yeah, it has been a pleasure, and I've been getting rave reviews around this beauty, the yellow one. But the focus today is not the yellow one, but
Yeah.
the beautiful olive green, shall I call it?
This has officially been called as a marsh grey color,
Marsh grey.
but it is actually very close to the battle green that I always wanted.
Just a few things to begin with. See, you and I know each other from our love for cycling.
Yes.
Right? What made you even think about visiting the showroom to look at a motorbike?
And I've been prospecting, actually owning this motorbike, Royal Enfield, ever since I was in school. Then I used to see those Fauji's riding this motorbike, the olive green. And since then, that memory has been etched in my subconscious somewhere that, this is a great bike. And remember those military bikes with the military numbers
Yeah.
and that arrow on the number plate. So, that memory has always stayed with me. I've been looking at a lot of bikes and going and doing test rides of these bikes, but I was not immediately prepared to go and buy a bike. I was only going and doing test rides. So, when I went for this bike's test ride, I don't know what happened to me. I think something came upon me. What came upon me was probably my subconscious kind of taking over my conscious and, that hidden desire of buying this bike. So, I just went for the test ride. I said, fine, this is sorted. And I said, what are you waiting for? So I went and asked the dealer. I said, what is the waiting for this bike? He said, the waiting is about 2.5 months, 3 months. But if you want to buy it today, we have some bikes. I said, do you have this color? He said, yeah, this color. We're just getting it off and putting in the display.
That is amazing.
I
So
said-
that was like it was made for you kind of stuff.
So I said, I want this. He said, fine, you take it.
Yeah.
So I said, so immediately, I just finalized the deal and I brought the bike home. And my wife was completely taken by surprise, saying, what happened exactly to you? I said,
I can imagine her reaction.
so I just bought this bike like that.
Why did you get this and not any foreign brands like you told about BMW, Beamer,
Yeah.
and so many others?
See, I went and test rode the BMW GS310. Why I took this bike was because they are similar capacity actually, and GS310 is basically an adventure sports bike. It's actually pretty high in terms of its stance. So that bike was limited to its usage in adventure touring actually. So this bike actually gives me the freedom to actually ride in the city as well as go for long rides. So all of those things combined together, and as I told you at that moment, I was taken completely by my desire to actually own a bike immediately. So I got this bike. I liked the color. The vibrations were gone, so I immediately jumped and bought this bike.
So how different is this new generation Classic 350 than the previous generation model?
They are calling it Reborn.
Okay.
So why is it Reborn? Because the brief that they had given to the designers and to the engineers was change everything but change nothing.
Oh, I see.
That means you completely modernize the bike's technicalities, its engine, its performance, but don't change its appeal. So what they have
makes
done,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what they have done is that they have maintained and kept the heritage and the brand's core values alive in this bike, but they've completely changed the bike's performance with a new engine. So this
Tell
is
us more about the engine.
So this is the new J series engine that they first brought in Meteor. So what this engine has done is that it's a single cylinder bike actually.
Yeah.
So single cylinder bikes obviously will have vibrations given the the uneven movement of the shaft, okay, of the piston actually.
Yeah.
So typically the solution is to put in a counterbalancing shaft. So this one has a counterbalancing shaft and a timing chain. So the counterbalancing shaft has taken away the vibrations. Also, if you look at this, this is some guard. This is a dual cradle chassis here.
Yeah.
Unlike the previous version, they had a single pipe chassis here.
Yeah.
So this is a twin down tube chassis.
Absolutely.
So twin down tube chassis, a double tube cradle, and a J series engine with a counterbalancing shaft has dramatically reduced the vibrations. So when you will ride this bike and you will ride it on any speed from 60 to about 120, you will not feel an iota vibration either on the handles or on the foot pegs. So the improvement is so beautiful that it immediately caught my attention, and the call was made immediately.
Got it. That's great.
The
And
other-
did you get these numbers done yourself? I know these are army numbers. Or can you tell us more about what these numbers
See,
are?
basically, this bike is the signals edition. This Corps of Signals is basically telecommunication wing of the Indian Army.
Okay.
Okay, right from the World War time in the British Army, in the other armies, even in Indian Army, Corps of Signals has been the messenger actually.
Okay.
So before the advent of the modern era, where you had where you have electronic telecommunications, in the older times the messages were passed physically using a motorcycle. So Corps of Signals would take the messages and run across the the battlefield, or in the normal times also,
Awesome.
to take the messages. So that is why the Corps of Signals has an association with motorbikes, and very especially in Indian Army with the Royal Enfield. So if you see the the Republic Day parade, you would see these special bike riders doing the various acrobatics and forming pyramids. They are all signals basically.
I see.
All right. So this bike is dedicated to Corps of Signals. So you will see the Corps of Signals insignia here.
Yeah.
You will see the bike has got a unique number. Each bike has a unique stencil number done by Royal Enfield.
Oh, so this is the only RE254110 on Earth?
Yes, absolutely.
That is beautiful.
And this basically kind of carries the the motif for the design element from the Fauji bikes, where they used to have their own number on each bike.
Got it.
Okay, so this is this insignia of the Corps of Signals, which is basically the Mercury. Mercury is the god of speed, or it's an element which signifies speed. If you know this, if you know the motto of Corps of Signals in India is Tivra Chaukas. Tivra is fast and Chaukas is alert.
Yep.
So they are fast and alert. So this is basically that element here. Plus this TP28 actually
Yeah,
is
what's that?
basically, if you remember, the Royal Enfield had a war department.
Yes, yes. I
So
remember reading
when
about it.
in the World War, they actually made these airborne bikes, which were light 126cc bikes, which could actually be airdropped from a parachute
Yeah.
to the battlefields.
Uh-huh.
So they had this TP28 written on the mudguard. So that element has been taken from there and brought in just as a piece of history on this bike.
I see. So just curious, is the tire pressure still to be maintained at 28 PSI?
No,
or
this
is it
bike,
different
no,
now?
this new Royal Enfield Classic 350 has got different tire size. So the the air pressure recommended in this bike is 32 in the front and 32 in the back in PSI. But if you're riding with a pillion, then the air pressure in the pillion should be 36.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And this color, I'm sure there were many other colors also. But was this again the same color that struck you so hard that you had to take it?
I think that my big call was on two counts. One was the no vibrations.
Yeah.
The other was the color, because Royal Enfield knows that a lot of riders in the country want the battle green, the olive green color in their bikes.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had brought the Signals edition earlier also, but because they cannot give the olive green color in India to non-army people, they have been bringing the Desert Storm color actually, which has been quite popular. But I have seen a lot of Desert Storm owners actually secretly vying for somehow getting their bike into the olive green color.
Wow.
So finally they have got something in between where this is not olive green, but still it has got that military green tinge to it.
See, I remember all the Enfields, all the Royal Enfields with the chrome finish, right?
Yeah.
This has the only chrome element I see is on the disc, or on the spokes, or on the coils of the rear suspension.
Yeah.
Everything else is matte. So how cool is that? Was that something you liked, or was it something that you felt should have been chrome?
Chrome here would be a mismatch actually. In fact, it should.
I think so as well. Yeah.
In fact, I look, when I look at these seats also, I think these
Yes.
should have been the same color as black.
yeah.
The
Same matte. It's not very shiny leather.
it's good, but the color actually, this brownish chocolateish color could actually have been black here to give it a more refined look.
Okay, so tell us about this number 40 as well. I'm sure there is history with it as well, right?
Look at these colors. These are the colors of the Corps of Signals of the Indian Army, and they were given their official colors, in 1981.
Okay.
So this is 2021. So 40 years since then. So basically the 40th year of their regimental colors being given to them has been signified here.
That is awesome. See, you have ridden 3,000 kilometers on it, right?
Yeah,
And I think you did the reviews at 1,000 and 1,500 kilometers as well.
yeah.
So how has been the fuel efficiency so far? Has it improved? Is it the same? And guys, so the gentleman you see going in reverse is actually going in reverse. This is not a special effect. But yeah, please go ahead.
See, the fuel efficiency has been pretty amazing from the day one, because obviously, these are new bikes with ECU and, and it is a newly tuned engine.
Yeah.
So I have seen people getting 40 plus average from the day one actually on this bike.
That's amazing.
And I got an average of 41 when I did the 600 kilometers to Chandigarh. And
Wow.
that was within the first 1000 kilometers of the bike.
Wow.
Recently I did a mileage test in Delhi and I got an average of 46 plus in this bike, and that too in traffic.
That's
and
awesome.
and I have a lot of comments, people telling me that you're lying. This is not true. And I take it as a compliment.
That's amazing.
And but whenever I'm riding it on Yamuna Expressway and if I've done any speed rides, it has been at 28, 29, wherever I've done plus 100 kilometers of speed
Yeah.
for a long period of time. But if you're riding it gently and the way the bike should be ridden in its sweet spot, then it is giving you a very good average of 40 plus throughout.
That is great. And tell us about like you said, you have been riding on the Yamuna Expressway as well.
Yeah.
So see, that is a complete concrete surface.
Yeah.
And here it is all the normal gravel, normal road,
Yeah.
normal tarmac. So does the bike behave differently on concrete versus on the normal
See,
road?
this bike's top speed is 120.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So unlike the sports bike which might behave differently on a tarmac like that, this bike is not meant for speeding. So I was just going at 100, 110 maximum, So I found no difference in the way the bike was behaving. But obviously because of Yamuna Expressway being completely asphalt and completely being cement, I did reduce my tire pressure at that time because
Makes sense.
yeah.
And that reminds me, would you recommend any of the buyers to go in for nitro versus air, or air is good enough?
See, basically, what is nitro? Nitrogen is basically the maximum amount of air in the ambient air that you have around you.
Yeah.
Okay, 78% nitrogen and 21% is oxygen.
Yeah.
Why is nitrogen put in tires? Basically because in high performance vehicles, in case of collision, it's inert gas, it will not ignite, there will be no accident.
I see.
Okay, there will be no explosion.
Okay.
Also because on high speeds, nitrogen will not be expanding, unlike
Yeah.
oxygen.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I
so
meant.
it's much more safer.
But again, comes back to the point, you are doing 100, 110.
So this bike doesn't need nitrogen
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're not actually kind of speeding on this bike.
Makes sense.
But obviously it's also about how at what speed the tires are rated for, etc.
Yeah.
So given those things, one will have to look at in depth. But if you can get nitrogen in your city easily,
Makes sense.
you
makes
can
sense.
even get it.
And how happy are you with the tires? And which tires are these?
See, these tire profiles are bigger than the tire profiles in the previous versions. So
Okay.
one, it gives bike more stability. The other thing is it makes the bike look much bigger. It has now got the bigger disc brakes both in the front and the back.
Yeah, that's a massive disc in the front.
Yeah, from the previous versions, and also the disc brakes in the earlier versions were actually on the left side. They have now taken to the right side.
Yeah.
Okay, so initially on the day 1, 2, 3, the rear brake was absolutely not working.
Oh, okay.
So,
Why was it?
Because that must have been some adjustment issue from the factory itself.
Okay.
So I went and got it sorted, and there was some adjustment done in the brake lever, and after that it has been perfectly all right, and it's got a great braking, and the brakes work very well. The bigger size disc brakes have been giving me a lot of confidence.
And hey, what is this digital display about? Because this was not in the previous Enfield that I have ridden. Oh,
See,
wow.
there was a long-standing demand for Royal Enfield by the Royal Enfield owners to bring in a fuel gauge in this bike. Because in the previous version you did not
Yes.
know how much fuel is there, so you would just actually
Absolutely,
shake your
I
tank to
remember.
know.
I remember that.
So so the shaking of the tank has been taken away. So now it has got a very nice digital little input here, which gives you the time, the odometer,
That's
the
cool.
trip 1, the trip 2, also the fuel gauge, and it's got a nice switch here on the handle itself, where you can actually change all your displays. So this is giving the day's time right now here on the. Then the odometer is saying 3000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Then trip 1, and then trip 2, and then you can see the fuel gauge here. Also, a very beautiful thing about this bike is that the moment you hit the reserve, all your trip meters are overridden by trip F automatically. The moment the bike will come on reserve light will show here, immediately all the previous trip meters will be overridden and
Got it.
trip F will come. So you exactly know how you are already on reserve and
Yeah.
you have very less fuel left, and after the reserve, so many kilometers you have done.
Yeah.
So you must refill the bike.
That's awesome. And this is a beautiful small edition with this red switch, right?
See, this is the ignition switch now here.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah. So because this bike doesn't have a kick now.
This bike does not have a kick.
Yeah, and you
That
know,
is amazing.
because you know that typically they would say the kickstart my heart about Royal Enfield. So that has been taken away. A lot of people are distressed about the kick not being there.
Yeah, it
But
was like a pain in the wrong side of the body, but it was still a pleasure.
No, because you know the macho feeling that this bike brought
Yeah.
to a lot of people, kicking the bike to start, was one essential part of owning that bike.
Yes.
But now it has been taken away, and a lot of people have been asking me, sir, इसमें kick वापस कब आएगी? Let me tell you one thing, that I don't think the kick is going to come back in this bike. I'll tell you why.
And starting it
60
right in
years,
this macho now.
60 years back, you know, you used to have these cars with the handle start in the front.
Yeah,
Why? Because you know the ignition system was manual.
yeah, yeah,
So when the ignition system became battery driven,
yeah. It
so,
went away.
So it went away. So you would ask me then maybe, you know, then, oh, in the previous edition of Classic, it had a battery start as well. It also had a kick start. Why was that? See, basically the battery start is required even for kick start,
Yeah,
because these bikes are ECU bikes, and ECU will only kick in if the battery has got minimum of 9 volts.
got it.
So if the battery doesn't have 9 volts in it, you know, at the minimum, you can keep kicking the bike for the whole day, it won't start. So the whole point of having a ECU and a battery operated bike having a kick is kind of, you know, not okay.
Does not make.
So that is why they have removed the kick, and it also helps in two things. It helps to reduce the bike's you know, the weight.
Yeah,
Also helps to have one more less oil seal. So kind of gives you a much easier maintenance of the bike.
got it. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell us about all the accessories that you have put up. I see that you have got a very nice looking luggage box. And what else?
See, accessories, Royal Enfield has got its own homologated set of accessories, and I would recommend everybody to buy only those. Because I also went to Karol Bagh like all other bikers,
Okay.
looking for a bargain deal. But I'll tell you what, you know, the stuff that you get there is sometimes very good, but
Yeah.
sometimes very iffy. And if you're a new biker like me, you would really not know which shop to buy from,
Yeah.
and how to judge the quality of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was very keen to get this side box only because it has got that very classic look. The ones that I was getting in Karol Bagh, you know, they were shorter and they had too many lights here. So
Oh.
it kind of takes away the appeal of the Royal Enfield, and this looks like a real, you know,
Yeah.
the 50s look on the
Yeah.
side box.
Yeah.
Also, this leg guard was already installed when I bought it. It's again Royal Enfield leg guard. Here it is an Indian dash plate, also called Sum guard.
You got it done afterwards?
Yeah, this is also afterward, but I actually wanted a black color, so I went to a Karol Bagh, but I couldn't find a good quality there, so I had to just go and buy the Royal Enfield one only,
Okay.
because I don't think silver looks too much out of place here, so I just bought it. Besides that, I haven't put any accessory other than this mobile holder,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
is basically a Bobo mobile holder,
Got it.
because you need it for navigation.
How sturdy is it?
This is very sturdy.
Okay.
I've been riding on with this for very long, and it can
Any fear of the phone falling
not
off?
at all. It's like rock solid. It's like a claw of the eagle.
And what all apparel are you wearing? I see that you have a Royal Enfield jacket
Yeah.
and you have your leg guards also, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have your Royal Enfield riding shoes as well.
Yeah. So basically, it's riding jacket which has got you know, protective covers inside. So this got a cover on the elbow, on the shoulder, on the back. So
Okay.
this is basically a Royal Enfield jacket only. It's
Got
an
it.
all-weather jacket,
Got it.
and this is called I forgot the name.
That's okay.
Okay. So also, you know, the knee and shin guard again from Knox. Knox is a very well-known brand.
Yes, yes,
It makes for Royal Enfield, and these are Royal Enfield hard toe shoes
Yeah.
with ankles, so that in an accident, you know, you're not actually damaged too much. So yes, and I've been wearing a Royal Enfield full face helmet also.
Yep.
So
That's of the same color.
now I'll tell you what happened. So I thought this was too much of you know, armor for this bike, and I can just ride this bike in my normal jeans and t-shirt and enjoy the riding. But I'll tell you one thing, the moment I bought this, my confidence level on road has gone 10 times up,
I'm sure.
because you feel so secure wearing this. You know, you can ride bike with much more confidence. And I also use the Royal Enfield gloves. These are you know, knuckle gloves. So you know, so when you're riding bike completely protected,
Yeah.
your confidence on road goes up, and you're not iffy, and you are able to take much better calls while riding.
I agree.
So I would urge everybody to, even if you're doing, you know, weekend rides, or if you're doing small rides or whatever, please ride your bike with complete safety equipment, and always have the full shell, you know, the complete, the full face helmet.
Anything you feel that should have been done different or could be done better in the next edition of this bike?
Yeah, see, basically, I think that the lights here, all the lights could have been LED.
Yeah.
And if you look at the EICMA 2021, where they've revealed their new 650cc concept bike, they're talking about actually making the lights digital, making the lights LED. So yes, they could actually bring the LED elements to this, but because they want to maintain the classic look, probably they want to keep the halogen on.
And how good are the tail lights?
Tail light,
I know they're halogen.
yeah, so all are halogen, but I have gone and done a night ride on this bike on the GT road, on Yamuna Expressway, everywhere. And the bike's visibility, both the front light and the back light, is very good because now they have improved wattage on the front, the 65 watt light with multiple reflections there. Yeah, so it's a much better light. So both the back light and front light are pretty good. People do install extra lights on this bike. It's up to them, but I'm not doing too much of night riding, so I'm happy with this terrain.
How has been the road presence? Have you been getting people stopping you or poking you and asking you about it also?
So they keep asking me about, is this a new bike? So yes, it is a attention grabber, and also because now I ride in complete safety gear, so that also kind of makes people ask me more questions about the bike.
All right. So how about am I allowed to ride the bike?
Of course.
Okay, so it will be a couple of years I'll get my hands on a Royal Enfield, and that too the new classic 350. So let's see what it feels like. All right.
So first down and rest up.
Yep.
You can go for a little longer ride.
This is pure beauty. I must say, this rides so well, and this does not just feel like what I was thinking, the jittery feeling, or maybe that it will not go ahead and get that pickup that heavy Enfield does. It will have only the torque but not the pickup. This has just diminished my belief of Royal Enfield, and this is riding so well. So honestly, a great bike, and something now you are making me get into impulse buying mode also.
It kind of breaks all your preconceived notions about a Royal Enfield.
I agree. I completely agree. That is actually different. You should go to Ladakh now on this.
They say that if you don't go to Ladakh after buying a Royal Enfield, they confiscate your bike.
They should, because this baby really needs to go on the mountains, and this will be so beautiful. Which I felt really also happy about was the muffler noise.
Yeah.
That sound. Sorry, let me correct myself. It is so much a pleasant, understated thump.
Yeah.
Which thump is not that old Royal Enfield, which had a little clinginess of metal in it.
Yeah.
But this has a really nice thump to it. So let's just hear it once.
Yeah. So give it also a little rev. I'll show it to the viewers. One more rev, full rev.
Awesome.
So there's no need to spoil that sweet note with a loud, aftermarket exhaust in this.
I agree.
See you. Take care. Bye.